and Caitlin Clark front row at the Prada show for Milan Fashion Week. Obviously, Caitlin Clark has been working with Prada since at least draft.
Caitlin Clark just showed up in Milan front row at the Prada fashion show, and the internet completely lost its mind. But here's what nobody is connecting yet. This wasn't just a celebrity appearance. This was the beginning of something much bigger between Clark and one of the most powerful luxury brands on the planet. And the numbers behind this move? They'll shock you. So here's the real question. Is Caitlin Clark quietly building the most valuable personal brand in women's sports history, or is someone else closer to that crown? Drop your answer in the comments. Now, let's get one thing straight before anything else. When Caitlin Clark walked into Milan's Fondazione Prada on February 26th and took her seat in the front row of the Fall 2026 fashion show, dressed head to toe in Prada, alongside Olympic champion Eileen Gu, that wasn't a coincidence. That wasn't a last-minute invite because someone canceled. That was the latest, most visible chapter in a relationship between Clark and Prada that has been quietly building since the day she entered professional basketball. And it points towards something the WNBA and the entire sports world are only beginning to understand. The fashion industry does not place athletes front row at major Milan shows out of generosity. They do it because they see value. Long-term value. Cultural value. Financial value. And when a brand like Prada, one of the most selective, strategic, and influential luxury houses on the planet, keeps choosing to align itself with one specific athlete, you are witnessing the early stages of a partnership that goes far beyond borrowing clothes for a photo op. This is about brand building, legacy positioning, global influence. So let's trace this story back to the beginning, because when you see the full picture, the Milan moment becomes just one piece of something far bigger.
Prada, I think Prada's like very me, very like, I don't know, I'm a pretty simple girl, but Prada's never dressed a WNBA player or NBA player for the draft, so it's very fun. Got the simple white and then sparkly on the inside, but yeah, really fun. Got the bag, got the slick shoes, so yeah.
April 2024, draft night. Caitlin Clark walks into the WNBA draft as the #1 overall pick, and she's wearing Prada. Not just a single statement piece. A full Prada look. White tailored jacket. Shimmering silver crop top. White mini skirt. Black pointed toe heels. Every detail intentional. Every piece Prada. Then she drops a line that most people barely noticed. On the orange carpet, Clark tells reporters that Prada had never before custom-fitted an NBA or WNBA player for draft night. She was the first. She knew it. She said it out loud. And she wore that moment like someone who understood exactly what it meant, far beyond basketball. The reaction was instant. Social media exploded with the same phrase, repeated across every platform. Caitlin Clark is so Prada. Not that she looked good. Not that the outfit was stylish. But that she and the brand were essentially the same thing. That the energy, the aesthetic, the confidence, the attitude all aligned in a way that felt completely natural, not manufactured. And that kind of organic cultural moment? It's worth more to a luxury brand than any paid advertising campaign they could ever run. Prada knew it.
Women's basketball fashion news, Caitlin Clark in custom Prada for a time event. The fact that it's simple, it's timeless, but the back makes it so special and interesting. Of course, high fashion. She's gonna be in a Prada campaign soon though, I promise. It's Prada, so obviously the silhouette is fantastic, but this dress feels so Caitlin in the style that we've seen from her. It's minimalist, it's classy, it's timeless. The back is a freaking moment. I love that, and I love that Prada did a custom look. Obviously follow off more women's basketball fashion news, but what do you think of it?
Throughout her rookie season with the Indiana Fever, Caitlin Clark kept showing up in Prada. Every tunnel walk, every arrival, every camera angle. Sometimes it was a clean white tank paired with strappy cargo pants, the Prada triangle logo subtly visible. Other times, it was a full denim-on-denim Prada set, finished with a classic black nylon Prada bag. The looks were different, but the message was consistent. And that consistency was not accidental. Her stylist, Audrey Girardia-Toth, was building a visual narrative across an entire season, one that kept pointing back to the same brand. Game after game, moment after moment. As tunnel walk footage evolved into its own category of sports content, millions of fans absorbed those images. And every time, Prada was part of the story. Then came Milan. On February 26th, Clark took her seat in the front row of Prada's Fall 2026 show, wearing a cropped striped polo, high-waisted trousers with a Prada belt, a small Prada top-handle bag, a wool overcoat draped effortlessly over her shoulders, and pointed-toe Prada heels, the same silhouette she wore on draft night. That callback wasn't random. It completed a narrative arc. This was storytelling through fashion, and the people at Prada absolutely understood what they were looking at. Seated beside her was Eileen Gu, the Olympic champion skier, global superstar, and one of the most recognizable young athletes in the world. The two of them together, front row in Milan, sent a very specific message about the kind of athletes Prada wants aligned with its future: young, elite, culturally fluent, and genuinely engaged with fashion, not just wearing it for a paycheck. Now let's talk about the money, because that's where the real story lives. The relationship between Clark and Prada has all the markers of something heading toward a major formal partnership. They custom-fitted her for the draft, without precedent. They dressed her throughout her rookie season. They invited her to Milan. They seated her front row. Each step represents a deeper level of investment. And in the luxury fashion world, escalating investment only points in one direction: a formal endorsement deal. So what would a Caitlin Clark and Prada partnership actually be worth? To understand that, you have to understand what Clark brings to a brand relationship that almost no athlete can offer this early in their career. Start with her audience. Clark's fan base is massive, fiercely loyal, and stretches far beyond traditional WNBA viewers. Millions of fans discovered women's basketball because of her. That expansion audience skews young and female, the exact demographic luxury brands are aggressively trying to reach in 2026. Luxury's traditional customer is aging. Brands know it. And they desperately need cultural figures who can introduce them to a new generation in a way that feels organic, not forced. Clark does that naturally. Her tunnel walk content pulls in millions of views from people who don't follow fashion. They watch because they follow Caitlin Clark. And in watching, they absorb her style, her choices, and her brand associations. Every time she walks into an arena wearing Prada, an enormous new audience sees the brand as relevant, aspirational, and modern. That marketing power alone is worth an extraordinary amount of money, and right now, it's happening without a formal deal. Now imagine what happens when a real partnership is signed. Custom designs, global campaigns, product collaborations, and potentially a signature Caitlin Clark Prada sneaker, an idea already being publicly floated as the logical next step. That sneaker alone could generate hundreds of millions of dollars when you factor in collector demand, luxury fashion buyers, and sports fans colliding into a single market frenzy. Suddenly, the $100 million figure being discussed around a Clark Prada partnership doesn't sound crazy. It sounds realistic. Because when you combine global reach, cultural influence, generational timing, and luxury branding power, you're no longer talking about a sponsorship. You're talking about a legacy-defining business move. Top athletes in men's sports have signed apparel and fashion partnerships worth comparable, and often much larger, amounts. Clark's Nike deal, which includes a signature shoe already in development, is positioned as one of the most significant athlete footwear partnerships in recent memory. Adding Prada to that portfolio doesn't just stack another endorsement. It places her at the intersection of elite athletic performance and high fashion in a way no female athlete has ever occupied at this scale. And the timing makes it even more powerful. The WNBA is currently in a CBA standoff. Negotiations between the league and the players' union are stalled. The 2026 season isn't officially secured, and there is real uncertainty about when play will begin. Clark, like every WNBA player, is stuck waiting. So what does she do? She goes to Milan. She sits front row at Prada. She plays in pro-am golf events. She builds the parts of her brand that do not require a basketball court. That isn't distraction. That's strategy. It's the move of an athlete who understands how short professional careers really are and who is using every available moment to build something that lasts beyond the game. The league situation is outside her control. But how she spends this time, that is in her control. And she's using it in the most intelligent way possible. That's why the comparison to Eileen Gu at that fashion show matters so much. Gu is one of the most commercially successful young female athletes on the planet. She has built a multi-dimensional brand that operates across sports, fashion, culture, and business simultaneously. Luxury brands value her because she cannot be easily categorized. Clark is building toward that same rare space. Fashion is one of the most important arenas for establishing that kind of cultural dimension. Being seated front row in Milan beside Gu doesn't just create a beautiful photograph, it places Clark inside a powerful narrative about who she is becoming and where she is headed. And in luxury, narrative is everything. Context matters. Who you're seen with matters. Where you're seen matters. Which brands you align with matters. Every appearance contributes to a story that either strengthens or weakens your personal brand. Right now, Clark's story is impeccably constructed. It began on draft night with that white Prada set on the orange carpet. It continued through 2 seasons of consistent tunnel walk fashion. It escalated to a front row seat in Milan. And now, it's pointing clearly toward something formal, massive, and financially historic, something that will make the rumored 9-figure valuation feel obvious in hindsight. The critics will always show up. They complained when Clark attended the Annika Sorenstam Pro Am with Lexi Hull and Sophie Cunningham. They complained about Milan. They'll complain about whatever comes next. And they'll be wrong every single time. Because they apply a standard to Clark that they would never apply to athletes they actually respect. Building a personal brand in the off-season is not a distraction from basketball. It is smart. It is responsible. It is forward-thinking. Every athletic career ends. The ones who understand that early and act on it are the ones who build legacies that outlive their playing days. Clark understood it when she stepped onto that orange carpet in Prada. She understood it with every tunnel walk look. And she understood it when she sat front row in Milan, watching the fall 2026 collection walk past her in one of the most iconic venues in fashion. The WNBA gave her the platform. Prada is helping her build what comes next. Caitlin Clark didn't just go to Milan. She went there to remind the world that she's building something much bigger than basketball. And this Prada relationship, 2 years in the making, is only just getting started. If you see where this is going and want to follow every step, hit that like button, subscribe, and stay locked in.